Welcome back to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast, powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. At HSN, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach. We know that helping our clients become the best and healthiest versions of themselves isn't just about what they eat or going to the gym a few hours a week. We focus on a holistic approach, addressing nutrition, stress management, mindset, sleep, support system, lifestyle, and of course, exercise. Our mission at Healthy Steps Nutrition is simple. Help people take control of their health one step at a time to prevent and reverse chronic disease. My name is Nicole Coyne. I'm the founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, home of CrossFit HSN and HSN Mentoring. In this podcast, we're going to teach you how to take one step at a time to becoming a healthier version of yourself. Today's podcast guest is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for a while. He is a gym owner, two-time gym owner in California. They are partnered with Healthy Steps Nutrition. His name is Chris Williams. Now, I think as a business owner, a professional, even a parent, sometimes we lose track of taking control of our own health. Our health-related goals, prioritizing exercise and nutrition sometimes gets put on the back burner because we're in a busy season or we're super stressed. And that's where we need it the most because honestly, we can't pour it from an empty cup. Chris in this episode talks about how he lost himself and found his way, his journey to losing a significant amount of weight and some of the health challenges that he has gone through. Even though he's a gym owner, he needed a nutrition coach to get back on track. Shannon is absolutely amazing. We love her. So this is a really fun episode. I hope you enjoy it. Chris also has a podcast called The Morning Dig, so we recommend that you check that out. Enjoy. Chris, welcome to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you. We actually were just together in person, and that prompted us to book this. Been following your incredible journey. You've been super open about the personal journey that you've been on. And I thought it would be a really fun time to just chat about it on the podcast.
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it can help some people.
So a little bit of background. You are a gym owner. You guys do strength conditioning, CrossFit, nutrition at your facility in California,
Right.
Just sort of outside of San Francisco, correct?
Yeah, about an hour directly east of San Francisco.
Okay. So let's start off with this. Why did you open up a CrossFit gym?
So I have always struggled since adulthood with my weight. Growing up, I was always on some ADD medicine. So I don't think I really ever ate all that much. And, you turn 18, you stop taking all the crap your parents made you take. And then, now you're in control of your own diet and you're in control of your own hunger cues. And 18 years of never learning what those are or how those work. Like I just went kind of crazy, So pretty much from the day I graduated high school, I have just struggled with binge eating and different things like that. And when I joined a CrossFit gym, CrossFit Tracy in 2013, it was the first time in my entire life that I had a positive relationship with fitness and I had a positive relationship with healthy eating. So it just kind of made sense at a certain point. We all get to that point. I think almost everyone that owns a business has gotten to a point at some point in their life where they're like, I don't want to work for someone else ever again. So we go from the 9 to 5. We don't want to do a 9 to 5. We'd rather work 24/7 for ourselves. So
For sure.
that the opportunity came to purchase the gym, and I did in 2016, and then completely lost all of that I had gained because I went 100% into success, business, and, made every possible mistake you could imagine. So including forgetting about myself.
I think that's a common misconception. There's two angles that we can take this conversation, like the gym owner that has all this time in the world to work out and focus on nutrition and stuff. And so many times, I think we've all gone through seasons where we are so busy and we have so many goals that we want to keep up with that we just put ourselves on the back burner. And ultimately it's it affects a lot of different things personally and professionally. And at some point you realize, okay, this isn't working. I need to go back to what I was doing before and all the hard work that I had done to achieve, the personal fulfillment and success that I had personally instead of just focusing on the business. You came to that point and you've been so open about the journey that you've done to prioritize yourself, your health, your fitness. You hired Shannon, your nutrition coach, at your gym to become your nutrition coach. And it's been really cool to watch you share what you are doing. 2 questions for you out of this. Number 1, why did you decide this is the time that I need to get myself back in check and start prioritizing myself, my nutrition, my fitness, all of that, and hire a coach? Why did you decide now?
So I decided actually when we joined HSN in 2020, right before the pandemic kicked in, something, that really helped us out, by the way.
Right.
I've always known since I was young that I liked coaching. I liked being coached because I always saw the benefits of how fast I could get to where I wanted to go and achieve my goals. Ever since a young age, I was really self-aware of that. So I've always done what I could to have a coach or a mentor, whether paid or just trying to pick the brains of people much smarter or more advanced than me. So when we did the HSN thing, it just seemed natural to hire her as my own coach, right? Like, why not be the poster child of your own program? So that obviously didn't work out well because I lost weight, and then the pandemic stress just got to me to the point where I gained all of that back and then some. Just like I did when I bought the gym, I gained back well over 50 pounds. Then I lost about 30 with her through the pandemic, then gained back that 30 plus another 30 or 40. I peaked out about 350, just over 350 pounds in June, July of last year. So you can imagine the distress of a gym owner at 350 pounds that can't lift a Buick. So that's, there's obviously circumstances where a 350-pound gym owner is totally fine because they're a strong man or et cetera, and they can pick up, ungodly amounts of weight. That is not me. I was just a big ball of fluff. So I needed to do something about it.
So you decided at that point, it was like, okay, was there a specific instance? I feel like sometimes when I talk to people and they're like, okay, this is the time, right now is the time. Why was it the time for you 10 months ago? A little bit more, a year ago, to hire Shannon and really focus on yourself and your nutrition at that point?
So at that exact moment, I had gone through a lot. They talk about addicts hit bottoms a million times before they decide to get clean. And for me, as somewhat of a food addict, I had hit a million bottoms, and the bottom I hit back in June of last year wasn't anywhere near as bad as some of the ones I'd hit before. But I think just for whatever reason, it happened at a moment where I was ready to make a change, and it just triggered that decision. And that decision really came from going to the Two Brain Business Summit and being around, at the time I had just joined a group called the Tinker Group. And it's for higher level gym owners that are doing really well, but want to kind of take their personal success and their business success and figure out what to do with all of it. And, that next level of life, really, when you start getting your time back, what do you do with it? And I'm in a room with all of them. They're all fit. They're all really energized. They're all like, and I realized that was the missing component for me to really elevate myself, my businesses, my family. Was I had to become that person. Right. I had to think like a fit person. I had to act like a fit person. I had to live a fit person lifestyle. And then that, it didn't happen right away. So don't get me wrong. That was the beginning of June. The rest of that month, I was still absolutely the same person I was before I walked in that room. But it was just those little thoughts, they just never went away. You just start obsessing over that one thought, that one thing. And then the thing that really put me over the edge was just sitting there watching my son play it up in our mountain house in 4th of July weekend. And I realized I couldn't do a lot of the physical stuff with him. I couldn't go swim as much as I wanted to in the lake. I couldn't really do hikes 20 times with him. I couldn't run down the street with him. And I realized I wasn't just letting myself down. I was letting my family down. I was letting my son down. My son deserves a physically active parent. I realized my wife deserved a physically active husband and like aware husband. It wasn't always tired and grumpy. And lastly, I realized if I was truly going to be the leader I aspired to be, I had to live the life and walk the walk and talk the talk of what they were all aspiring to be. So I had to lead from the front.
And that's literally exactly what you've done. And you started this own personal transformation yourself. You hired a coach and you've been very open about the things that you're doing and sharing the successes and the wins. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit shy about that, but you've been completely open. And I know it's inspired so many people because you have this amazing business that you're helping so many people in your area. You've got a lot of different things going on, but at this point in this season in your life, you are truly prioritizing your health and yourself. And ultimately, I mean, you've done an amazing job, fast track 10 months. You've lost a significant amount of weight, but I'm sure there are other benefits than just the weight loss because of the habits that you've created over the past 10 months. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, just now I can stress out about things that are actually worthy of stressing out about instead of stressing out about how long is it going to take me to get out of bed without feeling like my legs are going to explode, hip pain, shoulder pain, things you shouldn't be feeling at, 37, 38 years old, getting out of bed when you're not working out, you're not doing anything physically strenuous, but your body feels like you got hit by a bus every day because you're just so overweight. And, yeah. So what I essentially did was I transferred the stress of feeling no confidence, just like an abysmal human being. And I transferred that stress into the stress of success and the stress of maintaining growth and the stress of being a leader and the stress of living the life that you're talking about. And I would trade that 110 out of 100 times there's a lot of wins, there's a lot of things, and this is not easy. And I talk about the losses too, and I talk about the mistakes, and I talk about how recently I've really focused on going away from that 4 a.m. wake up, as much as it's helped my sleep and probably a little bit of my emotional balance. It has not been favorable for my fitness, my health, my diet, because that really anchored my day. Getting up at 4 a.m. and getting some fitness done, getting some creative work done, flushing ideas out of my head. And then anchoring all that by doing those things before I can have coffee just really set me up in a really disciplined mindset for the rest of the day. So yeah, if there was one thing I would ever share with anyone, it's figure out what that disciplined start to your day looks like. Even if it's as small as like, I get up and I walk for 10 minutes around my couch, like, cool, do that. But whatever it is, set that discipline first thing in the morning. And when I wake up later than 5 or 6 and my family's up, like all that gets thrown out the window.
Right. Because you're getting pulled in a million different directions and then you've got to run to the gym and do all the things.
Right.
You've lost 80 pounds over the course of 10 months, 80 pounds. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. What are some of the things, if someone is listening to this podcast and they are in a similar situation where they own a business or they manage people and they're all the stresses of all the things that are going on in their day-to-day life, and they've kind of put themselves on the back burner. You mentioned, hey, starting a morning discipline, but what are a couple of the habits that you've created to actually lose that amount of weight? Because when you think about losing 80 pounds, I think a lot of people think it has to be so restrictive that like you go from like doing nothing, eating, exercising all day long and eating super, super strict, but you actually travel a lot. You do have a life. You have been able to incorporate this into your lifestyle. What are some of the anchor habits that you've created to be able to maintain and lose that amount of weight?
So the real basic, I went to as rudimentary a habit as I possibly could. So for me, that habit started with 10 minutes of walking every morning. That's it, 10 minutes. Granted, that was about as physically as much as I could do. And that's a whole conversation for another day of like realizing that you can't compare yourself to past health and organization or or experiences or capabilities that you had. Like you just have to focus on who you are today. And who I was that day was a 10-minute walker. That was it. That was my fitness. But rudimentary, like at that time, I was starting to travel a lot, like you said. So I went down to like, what's my favorite food that's healthy? And steak has always been my favorite thing. So I'm like, cool. When I travel, I will find the best steakhouses possible that, and obviously budget matters. For me, that was one thing I was willing to spend as much money as humanly possible on, right? I would break it down to that, and I would find the best steakhouses humanly possible everywhere I was going. I would book myself at those places, and that was my anchor, right? Like, can't screw my diet up all day because I got this massive steak that I've already picked out off a menu and I already had it set for everywhere I went. And it would just be that with steamed veggies and call it a day. So I had some flexibility the rest of the day. If I was in a summit or if I was in a thing and they were providing food, I had some flexibility on not really having to be like abstain, right? Eat the carbs, eat the stuff, whatever it is, like eat what you got to eat to stay fueled and like present in your thing. Because you're going to eat really clean every night for dinner and it's going to be out of control good. And you're going to look forward to it. And like, there's not a pizza or anything else in the world that's going to distract you from like this appointment you have set with, 5-star steak.
I love myself
it really legitimately worked for me.
Right?
That's
amazing.
Like it worked. Like Nashville last year when we were there, Jeff Ruby's. I did Jeff Ruby's and Cane's, two of the best steakhouses in all of Nashville. And it kept me anchored during the entire summit.
Funny you bring up Jeff Ruby's. My husband and I were just talking about that place. Okay, so you've got this anchor of, hey, I know I'm going to have some protein and some vegetables for dinner. I am sure that you've started realizing as you started changing your eating routine, how much more focused you could be while eating balanced meals, eating, a portion that makes sense for you instead of over consuming or maybe overloading on some of the carbohydrates. How did that shift happen for you? Did you start noticing yourself? Did Shannon kind of help you kind of put those dots together? How did that work?
I've always been really, really self-aware. And I think that's part of the ADD thing. It's like, I've always been able to feel my own body changes differently. I taught myself how to golf because I could actually feel the swing and like know where I was making mistakes. So I have this really deep physical self-awareness. So for me, it was almost immediate noticing like less brain fog, energy, focus, all of it was like almost immediate, right? Get through the first week or 10 days, I did go through almost a keto flu period just because I was transitioning from such an unhealthy lifestyle and diet of ultra processed foods to like immediately snap of the fingers, boom, now I'm in this completely different frame of mind and diet. Once I got through that and the really bad physical cravings went away, it was like I was a whole different person. I'd lost like 5 pounds, but I felt like I'd lost 50.
Just being able to focus energy levels, being able probably to play with your son too, be able to move around and keep up with him. That's really awesome. We talked about your story as a gym owner and it being important to walk the walk. But I think if we look at the other side of it, people who are high achievers and business owners, people that manage, we set these goals for our business that we're really hard and we really push on. And a lot of times it comes at the cost of taking care of ourselves. Does it have to be that way? No,
not at all. And what I realized a few months into this whole process is I started working my way back from like, I was getting up at 8 because I was depressed and didn't really care about anything. And then I got, okay, I'm going to get strict about this. I'm going to get up at 6. Okay, 6 is cool, but I don't really have time to do anything because my kid's an early waker. Okay, start working it back. 15 minutes every week or two, all the way back to 4 a.m. Consistently. And what I realized is in that 2-hour period between 4 a.m. and when my son woke up, I was able to get more impactful things done for myself and my business to where by 7:30 a.m., if everything went awry and it just turned into total chaos, I had already chipped away at 2 or 3 things, pushing my business, my personal life, and my family forward 1%. And you think, oh, 1% is not much, but when you think about it over a year, that's 365% improvement, right? If you do it every day. Now, let's say you take vacation, everything. So even if it's 200 days a year, it's 200% improvement. You're tripling your outcome and your output by simply finding a 2-hour block when no one can distract you and doing one major thing in all three facets of your life. And people are like, well, I just started a business. It's brand new. I don't have that time. Awesome. You should be striving for that instead of just business KPIs. Take the blinders off. Look at all three of the major facets of your life. If you have a family, if you've got other things you want to do, like your health, right? Because it's really cool to make money. It kind of sucks when you can't enjoy it because you're dead. Right. So, and it really sucks even worse when you're alive, but you're basically incapable of physically enjoying any of the fun things that comes with success.
So you've got the family, you've got your health, you've got the business. Like, we need to look at all of these different aspects. What's interesting is, when you look at some of the biggest leaders in the industry, authors, some people that I look up to, they all are really prioritizing their health, right? And I think sometimes as business owners, we just say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. Like, what if you can't afford to do that tomorrow? You would really need to start today. Getting up a little bit earlier, finding a block of time to focus on you first. I think that's a fantastic idea. What would be some other tips that you have for high achievers that are really on this, when you look at the either or, like, focus on your business, focus on yourself, and they're all on the business side? What are some steps that they can make to maybe go towards the middle and have a good balance?
So some of the things I've done, I hired an assistant. So the assistant has taken a lot off my plate in terms of just blocking things from my schedule that don't belong. But the most crucial thing they did, and this you could do without an assistant, but it definitely makes it 10 times easier and less stressful, is she handles all my meal prep. And by that, she works with a meal prep company and orders all my food, keeps track of what my macros are supposed to look like. And it shows up in my fridge every Monday and every Thursday. Every Monday and Thursday. And it's 7 days a week worth of meals. And for me, just not having to think about food and doing the extra hours of meal prep has allowed me so much free time on the weekends with my family. It's 2 hours less of grocery shopping a couple of days a week. It's 2 to 3 hours twice a week of cooking meals that I've saved. So for high achievers that are truly that, where you're making money, you are achieving at a high level, you don't have a lot of free time, you can literally create 10 hours a week you can put towards family or your business or your fitness simply by just getting meals done for you.
Logistically, if you're having meals done for you, are they done for the rest of the family too? Are you eating something different than the rest of the family? What does that look like?
So for my wife, she orders the same stuff. She just obviously eats a lot less. So our stuff does meal packs. So we buy larger meal packs than what I need, and she takes the difference. And that's plenty for her because she really only needs to supplement breakfast and lunch. Lunch and dinner. She eats her own breakfast, where I prefer to just be able to eat, to not have to really cook. Like, I have to cook a little bit of food to plug in some different things, but it's like no big deal, right? So for her, she gets 3 square meals. She's happy. She's good. She hits her macros. She works with one of your registered dietitians. So, she's also on the same plan. As for my son, he is 4. He eats like 4 foods, and that is where it's at. Fortunately, one of them is steak. So as long as I have plenty of that around, he's good. I think his 4 food groups are steak, Cheetos, and Activia yogurts. So
we got some probiotics there. Okay.
Yeah, so he's good. He's never has to worry about being stopped up from too much red meat. So he's got it well balanced.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So figuring out what makes the most sense for you and your family to buy back some of your time. And for some people, it's going to be figuring out a meal prep service, blocking out your calendar. I find like having box of calendars where I have meetings, and that's the section of meeting time that I have makes the most sense for me. And it sounds like for you too, like first thing in the morning is when I am most clear and my creative ideas are going to be the best. So figuring out for you as a listener, when's your best time that you need to protect so that you can get the stuff that matters most done at that time?
Yeah, for me, if I could, you have to have anchors, right? So for me, it was like I get up at 4 a.m. First thing you want to do is have coffee. But for me, it was I had to do a minimum of 30 minutes of cardio. And cardio for me, it's just walking, right? It doesn't have to be jogging or anything intense. At least 30 minutes of walking. And I would always listen to a self-development or business podcast or audible book. Well, I did. So now you're habit stacking, right? So now I'm growing my mind and my body at the same time. By the time I come off of there, I can have my coffee because that's my anchor to get my cardio done. So I go inside, coffee comes with me to the desk. And at that point, I have so many ideas from the book I listen to. I'm writing blogs, I'm doing creative work, and I'm getting that coffee that I wanted so badly at 4 a.m. And then by 6:30, my son's awake and I can focus fully on him. But I've gotten so many things done. And it's like, cool, if I don't hit the gym the rest of the day, guess what? I still did something. I still got up and moved. I still got steps in, right? I conquered that part of my day. Obviously, you don't want that to be your only thing you're doing every day, but as business owners, we know things can just go crazy at any moment. Any moment. So just knowing you're able to get that 30 minutes of walking, for me, it really became 45 minutes to an hour, but 30 minutes is kind of that minimum ground that I always tell people to start with. You're getting that in, you got something done. You're good. You kick the metabolism off. You're going to have a great day.
I love it. How are you able to stay motivated? So you've got this anchor habit. You are staying consistent. People that are listening to this that have a massive amount of weight to lose, motivation's high at the beginning when you're trying something new. How 10 months into it are you able to stay motivated and continue to do the things?
Constantly reevaluating my goals every 90 days. Because for me, I found 90 days in, I'd probably crushed. There were certain goals I had crushed way beyond what I expected. And there were other goals that I was way behind on, and I needed to reevaluate whether or not that goal was actually as important to me as I thought it was in the moment. And so every 90 days, I reevaluated and wrote new goals. I wrote a new weight loss goal. I wrote a new business goal, and I wrote a new personal goal. So sometimes it would be just continue doing what you're doing towards the goal you set 90 days ago, but oftentimes it was a complete revamp. And then what I did was I wrote down a minimum of 3 things I had to do daily or weekly to achieve that goal. So for me, it went beyond the goal. I actually put down on paper stuff that I owed to myself to get done. To get it done. And for me with weight loss, it was consistently 4 a.m. wake ups, getting that 4 a.m. cardio, and sticking within my calories. Like I never really stressed about macros until I wanted to run that 6-mile race I just did. Because at that point, performance really wasn't a goal. It was weight loss, feel stronger, feel better, feel just more physically capable. So up until about 2 months ago, I didn't really ever mess with macros. It was just stay under your calorie goal and be smart.
Incorporate protein with all of your meals. I'm sure you're incorporating vegetables. I think some people think they have to go strictly to macros in order to meet the weight loss goals, but actually you achieved most of your weight loss goals just eating whole foods and focusing on balance, not tracking every single little thing that you ate.
Yeah, I think people need to realize when you go to macros, a lot of times your weight loss is going to slow way down because macros are really there to get you to a performance level, not a weight loss level. Yeah, you're going to cut and you're going to lose weight, but you're not going to lose nearly as fast because the goal is for you to lose weight while maintaining performance. So for me, that was obviously the goal of being able to complete that 6-mile race. But now that I'm out of that and I'm going back towards weight loss as a focus, macros is no longer a thing. It's really just calorie. Just make sure I'm staying under my calories and getting plenty of protein. Like those are the 2 things if I was going to give anybody is overemphasize protein and underemphasize your need for carbs unless you are an athlete.
And hire a coach like Shannon if you are around Tracy.
Hire a coach because they'll set you straight anytime you start wandering off the path.
For sure. Any final thoughts as we wrap up today? We talked about so much. Goodness, going in different seasons of your life, from business ownership to really focusing on the business goals that you have, to realizing, wait a second, I need to take a step back and focus on myself if I want to be truly fulfilled personally and professionally. Setting different goals, reviewing those goals every 90 days to stay motivated, because ultimately we have to have the North Star. Why are we doing the hard things? So we got to be able to constantly go back to that. But I love how you broke it down into, all right, here's my goal, but here are the actual things that I'm going to do to achieve that goal every day or every week. And I think sometimes when we set goals, we don't break it down that far. And then there's like a gap between, we've got this thing we want to accomplish, and then we're here and we haven't really laid out the path to get there, which is one of the helpful things of having a coach, so they can help you lay out that path.
Right. And that accountability is massive, because honestly, like if you don't have 2 or 3 like non-negotiable things with that goal that you will do every day, no matter what, it's really easy to lose that motivation, because no one can motivate you. Your coach cannot create motivation. It's an internal drive. But however, your coach can guide your everyday habits and help you formulate those non-negotiables to make sure that they make sense for you. They're not over the top. They're not too much, and they're not too little. But the other 23 hours of the day, it's up to you. And motivation isn't there 23 hours a day. So you got to have those non-negotiables that you're going to check off no matter what.
For sure. And I think another piece of the puzzle is keeping track of the wins. In the Healthy Steps Nutrition app, you can see the streaks that you're achieving those things when you're working with Shannon, your nutrition coach. But a lot of times we're so focused on, this is one of the things I talked about at the summit, like we're so focused on how far we want to go that we forget about how far we've come, and like looking at the gap of where we want to go versus looking at the gain to also help us stay motivated. Success and looking at those past wins helps breed motivation to keep moving forward.
Yeah, great example of that was on my race. Like when I run, there are no mile markers, Nicole, none. It's just me running until the timer says to stop. But in this race, there was giant balloon arches every mile. So you want to talk about, okay, just start counting those. And, you get to that mile 4, and instead of going, crap, I got 2 more miles, it's, holy crap, I've done 4 miles. Like I only got 2 more to go. So it's just that visual of just realizing how far you've come. And, it completely changed my mindset versus when I was training and then the day of. So just having those, marking down those achievements is, a little or as big as they are, constantly sharing it with someone that cares.
I think that's one of the reasons why when you're coaching clients, when you're working with a coach, why do they start off with the bright spots first? Because that leads to motivation, and starting off on a positive note. It's like buying a Jeep, right? As soon as you buy a Jeep, all you do is see Jeeps. If you're focusing on the negative, all you're going to see is the negative. But if you focus on the positive, if you focus on the wins, then your mindset starts to shift a little bit and you see more wins more often, which will breed that motivation to continue.
Oh, yeah.
You have done an incredible job. People can follow you on social media. You are very open about your story and things that you're doing to stay on track and find this balance between running a successful business, managing a team, having a family, traveling. You travel a bunch. So you've got a lot of things going on. And I think people just following you and watching what you're doing, it could be a huge motivation for them. Where can people find you?
They can find me at my Instagram page, Lock34, LOCK34. They can find me on the gym Instagram, CFT Fitness. And please don't hesitate to DM me if you have questions. I'm happy to help. If you got a pressing need or aren't sure where to start or are looking for help finding a coach, reach out. I got you.
Shannon, one of your nutrition coaches, is absolutely amazing. We love her. She does some kids nutrition too. You guys have a huge sports team for kids, strength and conditioning, a nutrition program for adults and kids at CrossFit Tracy. Ultimately, if you're a parent, you need to do this for yourself, but you also need to do it to model for your kids too, so they can see what eating healthy looks like at a young age and want to follow in your footsteps. If you're an athlete and you're looking to take your performance to the next level, nutrition's that missing piece of the puzzle for most teen athletes. And when you can dial that in, you can skyrocket your performance, which is really cool when you're thinking about taking your performance to the next level. Any final thoughts as we wrap up today?
I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I think more people really need to just simplify their approach to nutrition, and you guys are obviously offering a great platform for that. And all the gyms like CFT have great coaches that can do that for you. Yeah, I think the biggest win I ever had was simplifying things, and secondly, not comparing myself to previous attempts. Right, I'm not 30 years old anymore. So obviously I'm not going to get as fit as fast, regardless of whether or not I'm in the same weight. I have different goals. I have different aspirations. I have a family now. So you just need to kind of block all that out and realize that the best thing to do is focus on today and treat it as a fresh start.
I love that. Focus on today, treat it as a fresh start. Don't compare yourself to yesterday or previous version of yourself. Chris, thank you for being so open, for sharing your story today. Thank you for doing all that you do. You guys are doing incredible things at CFT, and I'm just excited to play a little part in all the things that you guys are doing. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Chris. He is an inspiration. I think what's really cool is he's pretty vulnerable and opens up and shares his story about his own health struggles and really how it's impacted his health and his family now that he is prioritizing his health. He's pretty open about his journey on social media too. We'll link his Instagram in the show notes as well as his podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you can relate, if you've let your health slip to the back burner and you're ready to get back on track, but you know you need a coach too to help you create a simple plan and more importantly, keep you accountable, we would love to help you. You can go to healthystepsnutrition.com and work with our HQ dietitians, or you can go to hireanutritioncoach.com to find a Healthy Steps nutrition coach near you. We have nutrition coaches around the world that are partnered with us, that are part of our mentoring program where our dietitians oversee them and you get to work directly with someone in your local area. They are all absolutely amazing. So go to hireanutritioncoach.com to find a Healthy Steps nutrition coach near you. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and we'll see you back here next week. I have to say, next week is a little bit of a controversial topic. We're talking about how broken the food and beverage industry is and how lawmakers and the corruption in the nutrition industry, it's pretty eye-opening. I share some personal experiences in that episode, so make sure you tune in for next week.